first up, I need to make like an awkward thumbnail picture because the ones in motion always look really janky. So here we go. Sorry, I just think it's so awkward, but I guess you just have to do what you have to do. Okay. I do want to get like the. Am I spoiling things already? Anyway, wait. Let me see if. How does this work? Right. Come on. Maybe if I hold it like this, maybe it'll show. So I have like always a squiggly thing going like this. So I'm thinking ahead here. I'm like really prepared today. Okay, so if I put it like something like this, can you still see it? Okay. Okay, awkward photo shot thing. Where's the camera? Here, right? Ah, so awkward. Okay. Okay, I think that's enough. I should be able to, at the very least, get one still shot. But that means that it's time to start the podcast. Hello, everyone, and welcome to another video. So, things have been a bit disruptive, I have to say, because I believe last week or the week before that, I was editing all of the episodes that are coming out right now. Because at the moment now, the second episode came out a couple of days ago. And so because I had to spend a significant time working on editing episodes 1 to 8, I didn't really have time to film, and so I filmed on last week on Monday and on Wednesday, and now I'm here this week. I'm filming on Friday, so it's been a bit disruptive because I generally just like to have things like a strict schedule, and usually I would film these episodes on Monday, but it is the end of the week, so I'm kind of like really tired, but also very happy because I have no classes for 2 whole days. So I get to relax. Well, not really. I have like a presentation and an essay I need to finish for next week, but at least no classes, so I take what I can get. So yeah, I think that's kind of like an update on how everything has been going. Like I said, I'm kind of well prepared today, not like the last episode. I've actually like written everything in my trusty notebook. So let's start off with the first thing. And I actually already spoiled it with like the photo op at the start, but it is this. Wait for it. Da 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 da. Wait, is this the back? Yeah, this is the back. This is the front. Ta-da! Yes! I finished the shorts. I finished the shorts that I was working on in episode 8 and 7. Yeah, so I'm really happy with it. It's maybe I should try wait, let me just write it down here so that towards the end of the episode, I will try them on so that you can see them. But also, it's kind of dark right now, so I don't know if the lighting will be good enough, but I'll just try on pants. Okay, yeah, so then I'll try to do that towards the end of the episode. But yes, I have finally finished my knitted pants, and I shall now give you the specs as per usual. So yeah, these are shorts B from Keto no Pantsu. This book right here, it's a Japanese pattern book. Basically it just has like all types of knitted pants in here, and it's by Vogue Japan. Vogue Japan is really active. I found they have, I'm pretty sure, at least one like magazine called Keto Dama that comes out like every 2 months or something with like different different patterns, as well as interviews with like craft people, and also just articles about knitting. So yes, this was the first pattern that I made from this book, and I'm actually really, really happy with how it turned out. Yeah, so I had also a lot of fun making these. I in terms of like, wait, let me just finish off the specs. I'm sorry, I'm drifting off into nothingness. Um, so yes, the needles that I used for these 4mm needles. I used as for yarn, I used Eri wool alpaca from Daruma, which is a Japanese knitting yarn brand. It wasn't like the recommended yarn. The recommended yarn, like I said before, was cashmere, and I'm a broke student, so yeah. Like I have no money to like spend 80 100 euros on like a pair of pants. I like no. So yeah, I used that, and yeah, so this yarn is 80% wool and 20% alpaca, and the color is olive number 4. So yeah, like I said, this was the main focus of like the last couple of days that I've been knitting. So that's kind of like the reason why I was able to knit this up really, really fast, or like rather fast. And yeah, like I said before, there wasn't really anything new that, well, new that I learned making these. So mostly it's just, as you can see, stockinette stitch, and it's yeah, like 2x2 rib on the top, and then this was actually kind of cool though. You have this like really cute, like it looks way better actually IRL than it did in the book. Like hold up, I think it was at the start. Yeah, so oh, the lighting is also kind of weird right now, but you can't really see it all that well here, like just slightly. So I was actually pleasantly surprised to see like what a strong presence it had on the shorts. Definitely when I'm wearing it. I've taken one picture when it's like unfinished, when it was still, when I still needed to like do the band. It's like very, very noticeable, and I just think it's a very cute pattern. Like the lace wasn't too hard, well, not hard at all. It was just a lot of like yarn overs, and then like how do you call that? Like knit two togethers and SSKs. Yeah, pretty easy pattern to follow. Is there anything new, like aside from the lace pattern? I did like 2x2 rib, like cast off, and I do have to say so basically I finished these at like 2 or 3 p.m. because usually when I'm knitting, I knit during my breaks, so I'll study and then maybe I'll have like a 20-minute break. So it was one day that I was studying really long, and I was like, oh, I just want to finish these shorts, and so I ended up doing so. But that is never a good idea. Don't knit when you're tired and you're like, oh, I just want to do it, because you end up making poor choices. So yeah, I ended up doing just the regular 2x2 knit, 2x2 rib cast off. I don't know what it's called. What it's called. Basically, you just like it's the easiest. It's the easiest one. It's like the same way as, how do you call it, as like when like the first time you ever knit and you cast off, you do like the very easy cast off, the regular one that everyone learns at first, that you can also do with like a crochet hook. Yeah, and so when I was watching the tutorial, they were like, oh yeah, there's quite some stretch to it, and there isn't that much stretch to it, to be honest. I still fit these, though the problem is that it does take a bit of like squeezing to get it like over my hips. But aside from that, like, it's not really a problem. So it's not like the biggest travesty, but yeah, it is what it is, basically. But yeah, I'm still like very, very happy with it. I think this is actually the first like piece of knitwear, like actually big thing that I've made since I started knitting again. Because the rest, I believe, I've made this, and then like, oh my gosh, I completely forgot another finished object. Oh gosh. Yeah. And that was me saying I was so prepared. Yeah, so this is like the first big thing that I've made. It's only been like tiny things, and yeah, socks, yeah, which are tiny things. So that's it for my first finished object. The reason as to why I forgot about the second one is because I do not have it anymore. And I'm very happy that I don't have it anymore, because it was a present for one of the new friends that I made here at university. And yeah, so it was her birthday a couple of days ago, and I was like, oh, I'm just starting to learn how to crochet, and I know that there are lots of like tiny cute projects that you can do with crocheting. So I thought, oh, maybe I could like make a tiny present for her. And I found this tutorial on how to make a grape charm. I think I've spoken about this. I'm pretty sure I spoke about this in the last episode. So yeah, so basically it's like a tiny bag that you can like hang on to your backpack or bag, and you can put something tiny in it, something like, I don't know, hand sanitizer or some chapstick or whatever. So I attempted to make one, my first one, and I thought, oh, maybe it will take me like 30 minutes and I'll be fine. And it took me like so long. I don't know, but like a good couple of hours it took me to make it. And this is how it turned out. Maybe I showed it in the previous episode, but as you can see, it wasn't that good, and I didn't really feel comfortable giving like a misshapen grape as a as a birthday present. So I spent another couple of days working on a new one that looked like this. And I was quite happy with it. There were like some mistakes here and there, but like that can't really be helped. You know, crocheting, I just started with it, so there are gonna be a lot of mistakes along the way, but then in the future I'll get better. I did have like maybe a couple of things that I might want to tweak myself, because I want to actually make another grape grape charm in the future, just to like improve on my skills. And there are a couple of things within the pattern that I think that I might want to change for myself. So I just have to see when I have time to get the yarn that I want. Basically, the yarn that I'm using is 100% wool, and maybe I should look it up here if I wrote it down the last time. I did not write it down, but I think I remember it. So basically, the yarn that I used was also from Daruma, just like the shorts. 100% wool. It's called Iro, and it's like these tiny 20-gram balls of yarn they have like so many different colorways, and I think it's like for it's not necessarily made for like huge knitting projects, but like very tiny things like amigurumi, like those tiny like crochet teddy bears, things like that. So yeah, I only have blue. I use blue and green because those were like one of the three colors. Those were two of the three colors that I had with me. And on the internet, I think I'm gonna look and find for a place where I can find it a bit cheaper than the regular price. They have this place called Rakuten. Uh, it's like an online website in Japan, and they tend to sell things quite cheap. So like it's I don't know exactly too much about the website, but I think also you can get secondhand things there as well. Don't quote me on that. You also have Mercury, and that's another website where you can get secondhand yarn, and that goes for very cheap as well. So in the future, I haven't like I've known about them, but I haven't really checked them out. I haven't tried them yet, so I might go and do that in the coming weeks, and then maybe I can give some feedback on that, like how everything went, for anyone who might want to order something there when they're in Japan. They want to get some cheap yarn. Yes, so I think. Oh, and crochet needle. Ooh, I think yeah. I was like, oh my gosh, I don't think I remember, but I used a 2.5 millimeter crochet needle, and I held on the second one. On the second one, I held the yarn double. So I think that's also why the shape was better. One was better technique, and two was the same needle size but thicker yarn, so it filled out a bit more and it got some more shape. So I think that's everything for finished objects. Oh my gosh, I've been filming for quite some time. That is actually like baffling because usually I feel like within 20 minutes I've said what I need to say, but apparently today that's not the case. But I think it's also because it's been 10 days, right? It hasn't been the usual 7 days that I usually film. Oh, this is the wrong page. Yes. So, I have a sock update, a couple of sock updates. So first up, I still have not finished the last sock from the yarn that I took with me from the Netherlands. I don't know. I think I spoke about this one 2 episodes ago. So let me give you the specs on it. This is a toe-up sock that I'm freehanding at the moment. Nothing too special. Basically, just a vanilla sock. It was just for me, like the socks that I've made with this yarn is for the most part just getting used to knitting socks, because there's a bigger project which I've already spoken about, but which I'll elaborate more on after I finish talking about this sock. So yeah, like I said, a toe-up sock. I used Judy's Magic Cast-On and then increased for the sock end, the tip of the sock. The toe of the sock. Yeah, to shape the toe of the sock, and now I've just been going up, and now I am going to create the heel. Yeah. So the yarn that I'm using is Onion number 4. It's 70% wool and then 30% nettle. The nettle's there as like a like natural fiber that like makes it more like durable, which you need usually with socks. And the color is olive, and the number of that color is 836. And needles that I used were 3 millimeter needles. So, yeah, as you can see, like the most I guess, important thing that I still have left for this sock is just the heel. And for that, I'm going to use German short rows. I just went on the internet and watched 2 tutorials, but I think I might go for the Very Pink Knits. I think that's the channel. I'm gonna look at her tutorial. Her channel is really good. I really like it. I've been using her channel for like the past whoa. My throat was just like, nope. Hold on a second. Current choice of drink is Aquarius, just because I need the extra sugar for like to not like be like an actual ghost. But yeah, like I was saying, I like Very Pink Knits. I think that's the name of her channel. She has a lot of tutorials, very clear, and I've learned a lot from her. Yeah, so I'm gonna do the German short rows. It's my first time doing those, I believe. Yeah, well, maybe not, but anyways, I'm more familiar with Japanese short rows. I've done those a couple of times, but still not very skillful at them. Oh, I did those, by the way. Maybe that's something I actually did forget to say. I'm still not sure if they were Japanese short rows, because they kind of like, I don't know, they kind of, they weren't like exactly like how I learned them, but I don't know. Can you even see the short rows here where they are? Basically, so maybe I should have spoken a bit about the construction, so okay, I'll just do it now. So it basically, what I did is I cast on here at the top, and then I knit flat, making doing short rows, some type of short rows, and then after a couple of rows I started knitting in the round, and then I started increasing heavily, so that you kind of like got this like skirt effect. And then at some point I held the stitches on the needles on both sides, and then made like do you call it a crotch flap? I don't think that's like the appropriate word, but like the flap that separates your feet, your legs. Yeah, so I knit that, and then I don't know if that was what they wanted, but I just used Kitchener's stitch here. Oh shoot, I only have 10%. Where's my charger? Yeah, okay. I used Kitchener's stitch here to stitch both sides together, and then I worked on each leg individually. I'm not happy with how I picked up now that I'm looking at it, I'm not that happy the way in which I like picked up the legs, the stitches for the legs on this side. Yeah, I should just really work on that a bit more. But I like there were like decreases on the side, and that made it a bit hard to like make a very like neat pickup line. I don't know what I'm saying, but I hope it like comes across like what I'm trying to say. But yeah, I think maybe be more careful, maybe try something else next time, maybe watch another YouTube video about all this, and maybe it will be a bit nicer. But that doesn't really matter. You don't really see it when I'm wearing it. So let me get the short rows for you here, because they're a bit clear here on the inside. Yeah, like you see one here. Where else? Like here, 3, there's 1, 2, 3, 3 here. So then if you turn it around, it's kind of hard to see, right? I think It looks pretty good. Okay, so I think that's then actually the end of that. Yeah, back to the socks. Now I don't remember where I was. I think I was talking about German short rows, right? Yeah. Yeah, so I think that's everything with regards to German short rows, and then after that I'm just going to knit up and then maybe make like a 2x2 rib cuff, and then maybe try a different type of like stretchy type of bind off. Who knows? Actually, that is quite a good idea now that I'm saying it out loud. Then also, ta-da! This is the second foot. I haven't forgotten about it. So they're actually at the same height right now. So I'm gonna do German short rows at the same time. Knit them up at the same time. Maybe I should like put them just on one of these ones and just knit them all at once. But I feel like, how do you do that with like comfortably with the like two balls of yarn? But I don't know. I've seen a couple of people do that, and it's actually quite smart because you're ensuring that they have the exact length, the same length, which sometimes I think is a bit annoying when I'm knitting, like knitting them separately, because I'm constantly having to compare or count. So, sock saga. Yes, it is sock saga, my friends. This year I'm making a lot of socks, and the ultimate sock challenge of this sock saga year is the Lane sock challenge. Impossible. 52 pairs of socks within 52 weeks, starting in April. I should have had 6-7 pairs finished. I have none. So I'm definitely not going to make it. Like at the start it seemed like, oh, it might be like really, really hard, but like doable. So the way I was thinking is like one sock a week. Seems quite doable. Like I've knit like one sock in like 2 days. So it's like I could do it, hypothetically. But then also, if you put it differently, one sock every 3.5 days. That sounds really scary. That sounds impossible. And now that I'm experiencing actually knitting these socks, you have to be like insanely skilled, like an insanely like skilled sock knitter in order to like comfortably complete this challenge. It's so freaking hard. But yeah, I still like the challenge a lot. I might not be able to do it in 1 year. Maybe in 2 years I might be able to finish all socks. But the thing that I really like about this is just that the learning curve is so like steep. There's always something new to learn, and that also means that there's always a new place to make a mistake at, and that's something that has I think is going to be a staple for me with this sock challenge, making mistakes, starting over. I started like sock number 14 a couple like 2 weeks ago. Started off already, it was a flop for me. Basically I ended up casting on the right amount of stitches, but then using a different pattern, like a different a different like pattern of the sock for like the smaller size. And so when I got like towards the end of the second row, I was like, wait, this doesn't make sense. And so I looked, and then I saw that I messed it up, and so I was like, oh, no! And so I started with a new one, and I've messed it up again. I realized that this morning. But it's okay. It's fine. I'll start again, but I refrain from unraveling the start, just so I could show what I've done so far. So, here's the sock. Let me give you some specs first, actually. Here's the yarn. I've shown it before, but I've now actually, like, it's now in a ball. Where's the sock? Yeah. So, this yarn is from Mominoki, which is like a Japanese brand. Well, it's it's a yarn company of a Japanese woman living in Germany. So the yarn is like dyed in Germany, I believe. Yeah. So this is sock fine, 4-ply fingering weight, and the color is Himmel, which means heaven in German, and so it has all these very nice light blue colors to it, and it's 75% wool and 25% polyamide. Gosh darn it, I even like googled this darn word. Polyamide. I got it. Did I say? I think I said it. Polyamide. Yeah, so polyamide, 25%, and then the knitting needles I have are 2.5. So the knitting needles, I think they're from Knit Pro. This is actually the first time. Yeah. Knit Pro, and I heard that that they actually have a different name in the US, Knitter's Pride or something. So this is actually the first time that I'm using this set of needles, and I actually really like them. So I think they're just like very handy with socks because they're a bit tinier, and so they're very flexible, and so I don't know, I just really like using these needles. I did have 2.5 needles from this German company, I believe, called Adi here, but I found that these tips were a bit sharper, so it made it easier to knit. These are currently my preferred sock knitting needles. So as for the pattern, I am working on pattern number 50 called Hexi Diamond, and this pattern was designed by Nancy Wheeler. I actually have a picture here. So basically I bought the book online, so the challenge, I think I forgot to say this, but the challenge is based on the book that that Lane Publishing recently published, which is like 52 socks in 52 weeks, volume 2. So I bought the book online, like a digital copy, because I felt that it was easier. I'm still going to move. I'm gonna go back to the Netherlands in a couple of months, so I didn't want to add extra weight because I also feel like the book was gonna be too heavy, and it's also more expensive here in Japan. So an online copy was just the way to go. So I printed, and also I'm now able to print the patterns, so I can take them with me on the go, and it's just really simple. So this is how the sock is supposed to look, and this is what I've been working on. So it has like a hexagon shape to it, and I messed up with this. So basically what I did was, you have I don't know what it's called, but you basically have your stitches with yarn overs going like this, and sort of kind of like cabling going like this, and then they're supposed to come back into like a hexagon type shape thing. And basically what I did is I got halfway, and then instead of so basically the bottom like the bottom right, at least on my side, goes this way and the bottom left goes this way. And so if you want to make it like a diamond shape, it has to go this way, the right, and then this way, halfway through the left. But I was knitting like this correctly, and then when I got to the midway point, I still knit them like this. So the stitches were going like this, and I was like, this is also again a great example of don't knit when you have smooth brain. Don't knit at 6 a.m. in the morning when you just woke up, when you literally passed out on the bed because you were so tired and you woke up in like full bewilderment. Don't knit, because I was seeing the yarn overs going like this, and I was like, huh? But isn't it like supposed to go like inwards? And then I was like, it will sort itself out. Oh, throw me in knit jail. I deserve to go there. Why do I never question myself over these dumb decisions and like thoughts? Anyway, I looked at the pattern again at some point, and then I saw that you were actually supposed to like switch the two techniques so that it would go the other way, and I was like, oh, okay, well, I guess I can like, I don't know, fix it with a crochet needle, so like redoing the stitches without like unraveling everything, and then it just got worse and worse, and I made things much worse, and like look here, it's like, well, you can't really see it that well, but it's just like an utter disaster at this point. And then I noticed that I made like a tiny mistake somewhere as well. Oh wait, was it really a mistake? No, it wasn't a mistake. Anyway, I do think so basically I did not make a swatch for this. And the reason why I thought, like a swatch, it's like so much effort, blah, 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 blah. And I should stop thinking that way. It's so dumb because like, also you might think, oh, a swatch is just for like making sure that like the gauge is correct. Not only that, you learn the pattern before you start it. That is something that I never really thought about, because, well, usually, right, most of the things that I've done have been in stockinette, but like thinking about it, right, when you're making complex things, you might want to practice first, see, like really get, I don't know, the Dutch saying is like in je vingers krijgen, like get it into your fingers, like learning the pattern before you actually start on the actual thing, so that you don't make like these very silly mistakes like I did. So from now on, even if it's like a sock, I'm going to do a thingy, a swatch. So yeah, I'm going to have to start over again, but to be honest, I'm not too sad about it, because again, I clearly needed like more practice for this one anyways. So yeah, it's fine. It's a learning journey. Like I said, the learning curve is steep. Also, another thing that I learned was how to do like a, what's it called? Oh yeah, a German twisted cast on. I didn't really know how to do it, so of course I went to Very Pink Knits, and she had a tutorial for it. She even had like a slow-mo tutorial where her fingers are going like, and she's like, okay, and then we're gonna go down and then up, and then you're going to go into the hole. And so I was listening to that, and my gosh, it was so hard like understanding how the German like twisted cast on method, how it works, because it's like you go under, then over, and then you go like this, and like just tons of things that like I would like try and make one stitch, cast on one stitch, and then I'd have three, and I'm like, I don't think that that's what's supposed to happen. And so so after like a couple of tries, I got my first one and I was really happy. Then I tried the second one, and then I'd always get two stitches instead of one. And so every time, so I'd start off with one, and then the next stitch were two stitches. So I'd have three. So I'd take them off, try it again. Two more, take it off. The same thing happened like 5 times, and then it clicked, and then I got it, and then it was like fine. And I don't think it's been a couple of days since I cast this on, but I feel like if I look at another video again, I'll be able to just get it like that. So yeah, learning a lot. What else do we have? Woo, gosh, I didn't know I was gonna have to talk this much today. Maybe no. I was like, maybe I should like talk a bit less, but screw it. I was like, oh, maybe I should save this project for next week, but whatever. I'm gonna do it now. Just a quick update on the frill yoke sweater by Hana Saido. From this sweater right here, from the book Kimi wa Shinito, a mix and match knitwear. Oh, the lighting is a bit... Okay, this might look a bit better. It looks a bit better from far, right? So the sweater right here, I'm working on... So I made the body a couple of weeks ago, and then I got stuck on the arm for quite some time. I'm still working on the arm, but I have made some progress. I was a bit scared that the arm would be too big. Basically, I was like, oh my gosh, like, did like, I made it too big, like my calculations weren't good. But I felt the same thing about the shorts, but both of them I used swatches, and the swatches were like exactly like in the instructions. So I'm just like trusting my gut that it'll be fine. So as you can see, it's gonna be pretty big. But also I looked a bit closer at the picture, and I don't know if you can see it, but there's like a strong decrease of stitches for the cuff. So I just think that's just part of the design. Like the sweater itself is kind of loose fitting. Yeah, maybe I might want to make a more fitted work next time, but yeah, who knows. So this is how far I've gone. As for the yarn, I've not forgotten about the specs, because it's a pain in the, like, once you have to do that like 5 or 6 times in a video, like stop the video when you're editing and then like adding a voiceover and then putting like the information on the sides, you're like, oh, never again. And so now I'm doing that always. So the specs, yeah, 100% wool from Daruma. So this one is called Genmo Nichikai, and it's color forest green number 4, and I'm currently knitting these on 4.5mm needles. So yeah, I'm making tiny progress. However, I do feel that now that I've finished the pair of shorts, that this might be my major focus of coming week. So hopefully next week this will be done, this arm, and I'll probably be working on the other arm. But really, literally, who knows? If I get into the groove with the socks, I might do those instead. Or at least like have a stronger weight, put a stronger weight on that in terms of like distribution. I'm talking with statistics, sorry. Tired. I'm a bit tired. So we've spoken about that. Yes, and so I finished something. I've actually finished 2 things, but I want to start something new. So basically, the weather in Japan is still kind of weird. Literally yesterday and the day before, it was 30 and 31 degrees for the Americans, it's like anywhere between 84, 85 degrees Fahrenheit to 80 something else, like somewhere around that range. Yeah, let's say average maybe 87 degrees Fahrenheit. So that's really freaking hot. And now it's like 22 degrees. I have no idea what that is in Fahrenheit. But it's been raining. So it's been like very humid, very weird weather. So like sometimes you can wear a sweater, sometimes you can't. But the fact that it's getting warmer means that it's going to get warmer. That it's like summer is coming, right? That's basically what I was trying to get at. And so I want to knit some summer clothes. So I got actually quite a bit of cotton yarn from Itobatake. And I was thinking of making a couple of like cute knitwear stuff, and I wanted to challenge myself and try and design some things, maybe use some lace here and there. So I was like first like, oh, maybe I should just try 2 projects, or at least start with 2 projects, but I think it's just best to focus on one and see how that goes and then move on to the next one. So the yarn that I'm using, I have, yeah, this looks better. I have 300 grams of this cotton yarn called baby cotton. So the yardage is 600 meters per 100 grams. So it's really, really tiny, but I'm planning on holding it double, so it becomes like 300. So like, I guess sports weight, something like that. Yeah, so I want to make a top from this. I already have like the design in my head. I just need to write it out and try a couple of things, make a couple of swatches. Yeah. Oh yeah, the color, it's sky gray. So I really like the color. I don't know if it really shows here, but yeah, it's just really pretty, very subtle. I do wonder how it will hold up when like all the stuff gets washed at some point, but we'll see when we cross that bridge. Oh yes, I should try on my pants. So we've come to the end of the podcast. Let me just try on the pants. Okay. Oh, here we go. Wait, you can't really see them like this. So, don't focus on that. Okay. Oh, screw it. I just have like my books on my bed. I have like no space in this like studio. So, these are the shorts. So, yeah, so this is how like they fit. So, yeah, there's still some stretch here. I don't know, maybe, well, I mean, it still holds, right? It holds like onto my sides. So for now it's fine, but maybe like in the future it might get worse. I don't know. Like, as you can see, the short rows worked. It's like the same height-ish. It doesn't like, this doesn't look like pulled up in comparison. So this is how the back looks. The side. Let me get my... Can you see the detail? I don't know. I can see it very clearly, but yeah. Whoa, lighting. Yeah, like I was saying, I am really happy with these. Hey, woo! Yeah, so I'm very happy with these. And that's all I have to... Well, maybe. Let me just do one thing. I don't know if you can notice it here. Maybe I fixed it a bit. But Sometimes I'm still seeing it. Oh, here, like, there's some, like, mistake I made here on the top, and it was a bit worse before, but I used a hook to pull on some yarn, and it looks a bit better now, but, like, it was kind of obvious, but I don't think you can really see that anymore all that much. It just looks fine, I think. Hey! Woo! Okay. We have come to the end of this podcast episode. It's a bit longer than usual. My apologies for that. In any case, thank you so much for watching. Whoa, I feel like I'm crouching. Yes. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope to see you soon in the next knitting podcast episode. Okay, take care. Bye-bye.